They fined me $200 for hosting a barbecue in my own backyard. I wasn't even part of their precious HOA. Next thing I know, they're calling the cops on me 4 separate times over burgers and ribs. Can you believe that? That's when I decided if they wanted to play hardball, I'd show them what real power looks like. So I bought their community park, changed the locks, slapped up a sign that said, "Private property, no trespassing." HOA banned, and then, oh man, you should have seen the way the whole neighborhood lost its mind. Honestly, I didn't come to Brook Ridge looking for drama. All I wanted was a peaceful place to settle down, just a little house with a good yard where I could finally put down roots after years of bouncing from apartment to apartment, always hearing my neighbors through the walls, never feeling like anywhere was really mine. Got a good job, lined up some savings in the bank, and a fresh start. But the main thing, the one thing I swore I wouldn't compromise on, was no HOA. Non-negotiable. I checked county records, I asked the real estate agent 3 different ways, and even double-checked with the previous owner, Chuck. Guy was a legend in his own right. First time I met him, he handed me a worn envelope full of HOA notices and said, "Listen, whatever you do, don't sign a single thing from the Brook Ridge Community Board. Not a bake sale, not a lost pet poster, nothing." Said those people never stopped trying to drag you in, made me promise, and I did. For the first month, it was all smiles and waves. You know how it goes. Neighbors bring over cookies at Christmas, ask about your car, that kind of thing. But then I met her, Karen Walker, the HOA president. And yeah, her name was actually Karen. I'm not even kidding. She had that look, like she once taught middle school, and never quite gave up the urge to boss people around. She gave me a glossy welcome to the community folder, told me about all the perks of the park they owned and maintained, and oh so casually mentioned how they'd love to have me join the board. I smiled, said no thanks, and her expression cracked like a windshield hit by a fastball. That was my first warning. I just didn't know it yet. A couple weeks go by and suddenly Karen and her little clipboard brigade start taking slow walks past my place. Real slow, like they're casing the joint. I'd hear these weird loud comments about neighborhood spirit and how people who don't participate shouldn't get to enjoy the same benefits. It was all theater, but the message was clear. Next thing I know, I find a note taped to my trash bin. Trash cans must be moved by 10:00 a.m. Violation warning. I laughed, grabbed a fat red Sharpie and wrote, "Not a member," in big block letters, taped it right back. They took it down, but that was just round 1. The reason I bought this house. The backyard, I'm a barbecue guy. Always have been. Brisket, ribs, smoked wings, you name it. I finally bought myself a real smoker, not one of those little tin cans you see at Walmart. So when summer rolled in and the weather hit that perfect breezy 80 degrees, I invited some friends over, fired it up, and let the good times roll. First party was nothing crazy, just ribs, a little jazz, a few beers, and some laughs. Even a few neighbors who weren't in the HOA dropped by for a bite. It was just nice for 12 whole hours. Next morning, I get a fancy envelope in the mail, no return address, just this gold embossed seal like it's the Vatican or something. Inside it says, "Unauthorized gatherings are not permitted. All parties must be registered with the HOA and held in the designated community park." I actually spit out my coffee. I was laughing so hard. I wasn't a member. They had no authority. So I tossed it, and just to be petty, started planning the next barbecue. This one was for my cousin's birthday, balloons, cupcakes. A couple more people, real low-key. That's when I noticed Karen and her stooges standing on the sidewalk, arms crossed, watching my grill like it was smuggling illegal fireworks. 15 minutes later, here come the sirens. 2 squad cars roll up. Cops get out, one of them looking embarrassed as hell. "Sir, we were told there's an unauthorized event here." I just handed over my ID and said, "It's a birthday party, not in the HOA." They look around clearly annoyed at being dragged into this and tell me I'm good. That should have been the end of it, right? But Karen was just getting started. A week later, another letter: unofficial barbecues are banned in this neighborhood. Further disregard will result in enforcement. I stuck that one to my fridge for laughs. But it kept going. Every time I had people over, didn't matter if it was 2 friends and a 6-pack, here came the cops again. After the 3rd time, one of the officers even joked, "Smells too good in here for this to be a crime." But the HOA wouldn't quit. Then I got hit with a non-member compliance fee, $200. For what? Breathing too enthusiastically, I realized they weren't trying to fine me. They wanted me gone, or at least under their thumb. Well, they picked the wrong guy. That's when I got organized. I gathered every letter, every voicemail, printed off the citations, and even clipped footage from my doorbell camera showing Karen and her clipboard minions lurking across my lawn. Then I showed up to their precious HOA meeting uninvited, under their fancy park pavilion, still public land at that point. Walked right up with a binder full of receipts and righteous fury. Karen looked like she'd seen a ghost. "I'm not here to join," I told them. "I'm here to set things straight. I don't owe you a damn thing. Stop sending fake fines. Stop calling the cops. Try that property lien nonsense, and my lawyer will eat you for breakfast." Karen's face did that nostril flare thing you only see when someone's about to explode. "You're disrupting the community," she spat. "You use resources without paying dues. The only resource I use is my own backyard." I shot back. "You keep harassing me, next letter you get will be from a judge." That's when she threatened a lien on my home over hot dogs and jazz music, mind you. That line stuck with me all night. I couldn't sleep. A lien on my home for a club I never even joined. Now here's where fate steps in. A neighbor, let's call him Mike, complained about how high the dues were getting. "You'd think we owned the park by now," he grumbled, "but the HOA still rents it." My brain did a backflip. The park wasn't even theirs. I did some digging, found out the HOA had been leasing it month to month from a developer named David. I gave David a call, met him for coffee. Turns out he'd been trying to sell the land for years, but the HOA kept lowballing him. I made a fair offer, stretched my budget thin, but he said yes. Just like that, I owned the land under their feet. Didn't tell a soul. Waited till their lease expired. The morning it did, I brought in a locksmith before sunrise, changed every lock on the park gates, put up big new signs. Private property. No trespassing. HOA banned. By noon, the whole neighborhood was in chaos. Moms with jogging strollers gawking at the signs, dads in polos rattling the fence, minivans rolling up like it was an alien landing. Then Karen arrived dragging some lawyer with her face red as a stop sign. "You had no right," she screamed. "This is our park." I handed her a copy of the deed. Cool as ice. "Not anymore. You can frame it, burn it, whatever you want." "But the HOA's done here." Her lawyer mumbled something about legal recourse, but I just sipped my lemonade like it was victory champagne. Within days, the newsletters turned frantic, events canceled, residents asking, "What exactly are we paying for?" Turns out the park was the only thing anyone liked about the HOA. Without it, the dues were a joke. Next thing you know, there's a petition to dissolve the board. I stayed out of it, but let's be honest, I lit the fuse. The emergency meeting was pure chaos, people waving emails, screaming about refunds, demanding answers. In the end, 80% voted to disband the HOA. Karen tried to save face with a cringy goodbye email, then she moved away. As for me, I kept the park, didn't turn it into a fortress or anything. I just unlocked the gates for folks who actually respect their neighbors. No more clipboards. No more passive-aggressive notes. No more power trips in the name of community. You know what's funny? The park's in better shape than ever. No more trash. No broken benches. Just neighbors enjoying a space they finally feel free in. Sometimes I sit out there and think about that first party me, a couple friends, ribs on the grill, music in the air. I never wanted a war. I just wanted a life. But sometimes if war finds you, and you've got the right fuel, the best revenge is a clean deed, a shiny padlock, and the sweet, uncanny silence that settles when the power mad finally run out of steam. So let me ask, was I right or wrong? Did I go too far, or was this just community justice? Drop your thoughts below because, every neighborhood's got its own version of Karen, and I'm betting you've got a story or two to tell.